Okay, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll hereby give this special meeting of the Commissioners Court of Titus County, July the 2nd, 2024 at 9 o'clock. We'll call it to order. July the 2nd?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I said July 2nd. We'll all rise for the invocation. Jimmy.
Heavenly Father, Lord, as you come to you, thank you, Lord, for all you do for us, Lord. I just ask you to be with all of our guys today, keep them safe in this heat, and all, Lord. As we're working on the roads in Talco, just ask you just to help them. Lord, just help us now as we go into this court meeting and help us to do the right thing for our employees and everyone involved. I just ask you now just to go with us and help us and forgive us where we fail. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Today we're here to discuss the budget workshop with our possible increased salaries for our employees, and even if you want to do something with elected officials. You should have a copy there in front of you on if we went with 3%, 5%, or 7% for our workers, and kind of discuss that and see kind of how you feel on that. On the fringe benefits there, been visiting with Ms. Lynette this morning about that. You'll notice it doesn't increase quite as much on the 3% because of it actually going down, our numbers going down. Is that right, Ms. Lynette?
It's due to the change in the retirement percentage that we based the budget on last year. We got a reduction in our retirement match last year from 12.67 to 12.48, and I'm budgeting on 12.48 for this year. So that will cause a reduction in that the first
I know we give a raise the last 3 years in a row, and we took it, $300,000 less this year. Are we going to be able to afford this without having to raise the tax rate?
Without a doubt, but we still haven't got our tax rate back yet from Miss Shirley Dickerson.
We just got some valuations in, but they don't have those numbers ready. They don't have to have them to us till August 1st. So it's kind of, we normally base our concept on where we are on our revenue input so far this year.
What did you say?
What we budgeted last year.
What was the date she would have that presented to us, Shirley? What was the date? When does she have to have that?
She has to have it to us by August 1st.
Okay.
Is this something that we need to table until we get those numbers?
That'd be the auditor's question there, number-wise.
Normally, we make this assessment. I have to get the budget ready to be the proposed budget, and normally the proposed budget is prepared before we get those final numbers. We normally base our budgeting for the current year on what we have received and what our analysis was from the prior year. And then we book our revenue items as soon as we get the numbers in August. So calculating the raises and processing them through, if it is voted on to move forward with it, is normally a lengthy process. So that's the reason why we've always determined it through the budget workshop process, so that we know how to put the numbers in there. But numbers can be changed on a budget until the court votes on a proposed budget. So the answer to your question is that is at the discretion of the court.
Today, basically what we're doing is voting on what type of raise we want to give. Once we get the numbers back from Miss Shirley over there, then we'll know. I'm not going to give a raise if we've got to go up on taxes. So, but today would be what you're thinking on that is. Inflation is really high right now. Our workers are out there. They're going to the grocery store just like everybody else, just like our taxpayers are. We want to be very careful with the taxpayer dollar for sure, but we also want to take care of our employees as well. And there's quite a big difference there, so.
You know, we got a lot of elected officials that are not making a lot of, making the same amount as some other elected officials and stuff, and I think we need to get that up where it'll be, fair to them as much as anybody else. And two, though, the ones that, there have been a lot of raises here the last couple of weeks that, I don't know, so the offices that they got a big raise already, and, I just...
Yes, the SB 22 money, those would not be, they would not receive the 5%, 3%, whichever that you do go with. And I have spoke with those, and I've also spoke with our sheriff here, with you talking about the salaries, and that's not really something that's fair to him, but he is making more than most of the elected officials, and he's fine with us not giving him a raise this year, and because he's stepping up into a new spot. And so he says he is getting a raise, but not necessarily to the sheriff. Don't let me speak out of turn back there, Mr. Bragg. And like I said, we sat down and visited, and he was very, very cordial about it, and I appreciate that with us trying to get those in the gap. Trying to narrow the gap, in other words, is what we're trying to do on that. So.
Because you got assistants are not making $16
But these are just the raises.
Right.
That's nothing about the assistants and all that with SB 22. That'd be a different deal.
Right.
But this would be right here, and also I've talked with all the elected officials and stuff. This would go to them like we did the last year as a group deal, where that they can take that 5% and spread that through their office the way that they deem proper for it. That way, if someone in the office is doing more work, doing this, they can reward, or they can spread it across the board how they want to. And I've talked to all 90-something% of them. I haven't talked to all the commissioners yet about it to see how they want to do it. Some came to me last year and said, well, that puts a lot of pressure on them. Well, you are elected officials, so you're running your offices over there. I'm not in Ms. Stevens' office, I'm not in Marcus's office, and I'm sure not over in the sheriff's department every day, and I'm not in Leslie's office all the time. I'm in and out. But you know who needs to be rewarded and who doesn't need to be rewarded. I'm a big believer in rewarding good behavior, good workers, and supporting that. So that's why whatever raise that we do, I would like to do it in a group like we did the last time. You get your bucket to the head officials over there, and then it's up to them to spread that out how they want to. And each commissioner, if you want to spread it across the board equally, that's your call when you get it there. If you need to raise one, that gives you a little bit of flexibility, is the way I would like to do it. But like I said, I've just got one vote in that, and so I think you can reward good behavior and bad behavior either way. I do believe that at 5%, there wouldn't, you can't until you get the numbers for sure know that the taxes, and like I said, if we do get those and it's going to make us have to do something with the tax rate, then we do not have to keep going forward with it. 7% would push that up pretty closely on that. I think 5% we're pretty safe with our new income revenue and all on that. But like I said, until we get those figures from Shirley, we don't know 100% on those. And you won't know those. You have to go through all the protest and all that as well. They've got their initial numbers, but then you've got to wait till the protest and all and see what they do as far as adjusting those numbers.
I'm just going to say historically the determination on whether you give raises or not is based on the economy and the condition and what you can do as a county. I would say that we will see some ups and some downs. It's no different than our electric services or any other services we have. When we go into the budgeting phase, we have to look at what our actuals are in the prior year and what the perception's going to be for the current year. Sometimes, believe it or not, we did make a good optimum contract this year. We are going to see reductions in internet this year. We did do a good contract on our county fire department. We're going to see a significant reduction in that. However, we're going to see increase in fuel. We're going to see increase in gas. We see that there's increase in road and bridge materials. So in the sense, you have some going up and some going down. So I think historically, since I've been here in the last 5 years, the determination on what you're going to do for your staff is determined based on what you want to do as far as COLA, as far as cost of living for your staff, or what you're going to do. It wouldn't necessarily be whether or not we're going to need to raise a tax rate or lower tax to meet that objective. There's all kinds of ways to meet those objectives, and that's the objectives we meet every single year. It's never been tied in to that component. Some believed in flat rates, some believed in the percentages. I know the one year that the departments were able to get the percentages, some elected officials took advantage of that and tried to do some true-ups with their staff where they were off on some of the positions. That is a very positive way. I do agree with the judge on that. Budget raises is to give an elected official control of that sum of money and to let them distribute it. I think that is a positive. But in the sense of waiting until we know what the numbers are, I should know. I mean, we're either going to decide that we're going to do it or we're not when it comes to your staff. It just gives us time. If there's something happens between now and the proposed budget, we could always modify that.
We've also, I know that we did save with the county fire department, but when you save on one side, you get another bill on the other side. And I met with Sheriff Bragg, or Sheriff-elect Bragg, last week with our roof over there at the jail, and talked with that guy. They're supposed to be getting us bids to come in on that and start work. Now, did he say September? Is that what he said? So part of it's going to be budgeted into this year. We'll have to change some of that over because of the materials, and then going forward, probably going to be around $1 million project over there to have our jail in regulation and not leaking. So, like I said, everything comes with a tag to it. So, but that is something that we've spoke with them and spoke with the contractors and getting bids on that at this time. So. I would like to see the employees get a 5% increase, and I know I'm still trying to watch the taxpayer dollar, but those people out there that are working for us and doing the jobs for us on a daily basis, they've got the same problems that the taxpayers got. They're having to go to the grocery store. They're paying taxes as well, and if you don't do that, our rates will go down further and further. With our employees, you bring in a new employee, you've got to train that employee. There's a lot of downtime with switching employees, and you have to be rewarded. And I'm not saying that 5% is even a reward with the inflation the way it is at this time. That's barely staying up with today's costs. So, any thoughts on that?
I think 5% would be good if we can afford it, like you said, and I would be in agreement with that if we could do it.
I can add one more piece of information, which I did go back and do an evaluation of our ending financial statements for the last 5 years. We have never not brought in enough revenue to cover our expenses. We haven't utilized any fund balance during those last 5 years, so that you would know that. We did have a large influx of money within the last 3 years, which has been flagged for various projects and things of that nature. So it has, we've benefited from that, from raising the value of our fund balance. But I did do a 5-year analysis, and I did note that. And we basically budgeted every year before we've known the tax rate number. So we've done very good as a county of being conservative and putting the money where we need to put the money. And also 3 of those 5 years, we got increases for the employees. And I just wanted to let you know that as well.
regardless, let's get this point crossed, and then we'll try to move to whether we're going 3, 5, or 7, or if you'd even want to do that. But how do y'all feel individually on giving it as a total, as a group, not individually, giving it to each head of the department? If it's 3%, if it's 5%, give them that amount of money and let them distribute it how they feel needed in their departments. Does anybody have a problem? Some people think you ought to just do it across the board. Well, I don't think that rewards those that are doing the work. That's just, I'm not one of these, everybody ought to get a trophy at the baseball field either. If you win, you ought to get a trophy. If you lose, you ought to work a little harder. And so I don't know how y'all feel on that. Like I said, I hadn't talked to many out of all the department heads that I've talked to. None of them have a problem with giving it as the group to them and letting them spread it out themselves. And we've got a few of those here today. Chris is here. Last year, we did give the sheriff's department a little more than we did everybody else, and did it in a group. I call it a bucket. Give it to you in the bucket and let you spread the bucket the way you want to do it. Marcus is here today. Do you have a problem with that, Marcus? Okay. Miss Leslie, okay. Miss Dana ain't here, but I have talked to her. She had surgery, Melissa, and you don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I know that puts a little more responsibility on y'all, but at the end of the day, coming as an elected official, sometimes you got to have a little more put on your back, and for you to be able to handle that, I don't see a problem with it. Don't see a problem with any of our department heads that do that. The commissioners is Jeff's fine with that. Jody, you okay with that?
Yeah.
David, you okay with that? So I think we're all in agreement then that it'll be a bucket. Whatever we've made one decision this morning. Whatever we do will be a bucketed to each department head, and that department head will be in charge of that part of their budgeting on their salary.
And just so the court will know, and the elected officials are here know, is we do have a mechanism to facilitate the elected officials in distributing the money. It does give them the full 5% total amount. They will know that amount. And then we also have it designed where they can play with what they want to do. And we did that with the sheriff last year. I know me and Melissa's done that before. So it's not like they have we have a document that they can use in order to facilitate them in doing that.
Okay. So we're all in agreements on that then. So
I make a motion to give all the employees a 5% raise and controlled by
department heads.
department head.
Is this a workshop or a special meeting? Because if it's a workshop, I don't think that we can do any.
It's a budget workshop.
Can we do any decisions?
Well, the decisions on
The
the
decision
workshop,
is-
you decide what you want to do. We go back and do it. You vote on it when I put it in the budget.
Okay, I just
The budget is not voted on. Today is we're voting on whether we wanted to do 3%, 5%, or 7% raises, and how we want to do it bucket so that we can get that to Ms. Nanette, is my understanding of that. Is that right or wrong, Ms. Nanette?
Well, my understanding is you make the decision as a collective unit today, and I don't know that it necessarily needs to carry a vote, is what she's saying. It's more of the collective unit of the court together to be able to meet and say, this is what we want to do. And then when we put it in the budget, if it changes.
We don't vote on anything until the actual budget comes before us.
Yes.
And I know Jeff's a little concerned about that money, but we'll know more about that as far as Ms. Dickerson gets the totals after all of the, after they have their hearings and all on protests and things of that nature, to see where the actual dollar amount will come to.
Yes, you're correct, Judge. And it gives us a better opportunity that when we're building the budget, we're not going to have a challenge when you go to do the proposed, because everyone will already be on the same page with what we're doing.
Okay. So everybody's good with that, and we'll get Ms. Nett to start on a 5% bucket increase for the department heads to distribute out. Any questions on that, or discussions or anything? Okay, well, we got that done. So on the employees, now y'all have to decide when I ran for this job, I knew what the job was and what it paid for. By looking at a lot of the things that the state has sent us on salaries and things of that nature, they are off some. So that's up to y'all if you want to settle those, but that's just on the.
Before we close on this, I want to bring up something for James Webster. And I know everybody's aware of this. Back in January of '23, we put him over at the maintenance board, and it was never discussed as a lateral transfer. It was a new position. He was making $19 an hour whenever he was the secretary for the judge's department, and we had it on here for $20 an hour pay to put when he moved over to the maintenance department, and it, had 4 signatures on this, and I don't know why it never got to where he got his salary right, and then with all the other raises, last year, it should be up to about $21 an hour today. So
First of all, this is a workshop, and second of all, I don't think we can talk about another employee's salary in a workshop.
Well, it is a workshop for the budget.
I understand that, but when you're talking about certain employees, you have to go into executive session to talk about that. You can't talk about that in open court.
Well, that's fine.
And there's not executive session on here, so. So with this on here, it does say today about the salaries of the elected officials. So do y'all want to discuss that at any point?
Like I said, Rick, because Marcus brought up a good point with his introduction there, it's showing that there's a lot of elected officials that was way up, and then a bunch of them were not making as much as the other one. If you're an elected official, you should be making what equivalent to what the book was. I think they ought to be up there pretty, with the rest of them.
I'm not going to argue the point with you there. I have seen the book that Dana's got. I think Jimmy's seen it. I don't know if Jeff's seen a copy of it or not. It's hard to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges in that, because some counties do have different sets of income coming in, so that's kind of hard to decide. There is a discrepancy in our elected officials, and it's a wide range, and so that is something that is a concern, and I don't know the fix to that if you give how you want to do that. If you want to,
I do want to, when we did the bucket amount in the prior year, when we did that last time, it included the total 5% increase of all employees. That included the elected official in that number of the 5%. So if we're going to do them separate, we would need to know that.
right. You have to make a decision on whether you want the elected officials to get a raise or not get a raise, and if you want to do that in the bucketed list, or if you want them to have more or less. Thoughts on that, Jim?
I don't know yet. They got to think with it.
Jody, any thoughts? You got any thoughts on the elected official?
We knew what we was making when we hired onto this job, but that's been, for me, it's been over a year and a half ago, and things went way up, everything else. I mean, we do need a small raise. I'm not saying we don't need a raise, but I just know everything takes more money.
Absolutely. Dana?
Well, like I said, that, would be great to have get a raise, but like I said, that was main concern, just not, you got some officials that was, making more than what, rather, like I said, you can't compare apples to apples, but it's just, it's so lopsided, it's unreal.
Jim?
I think that the elected officials need to be as close as everybody else. If it's not going to impact our taxes, I mean, I don't want to throw another burden on the taxpayers, but I myself would like to see
elected official gets 5% also.
I'm fine with a 5% across the board. I'm good with that.
So if we do a 5% across the board and we're going to do a bucket, and I have seen this, and we did this last time.
The problem with that.
Elected officials don't
hold on.
have to take the full.
Just a second. If we do a bucket across there, the elected officials will have to take their 5%, because if not, you're going to get to the same problem as when we came in here a year and a half ago, because this one didn't take it, this one refused it, and then Jody it gets all the salaries messed up. So elected officials.
I agree on that. The thing
We'll have
with
to
some of them, when you do the bucket, then they have an opportunity to reduce theirs to give their staff, So you're
Absolutely.
saying the elected official, if it's 5%, they take it across the board.
We'll have the elected
It
official
will
across
not be part of the bucket.
not a part of the
I
bucket,
just-
because I think that's, I don't know, I wasn't here, I've only been here a year and a half, me and have just been here a year and a half. I don't know how that got that way. I don't know how everything got separated so far. I do know that a couple commissioners didn't take a raise a couple of
did
times.
part of it,
And that was
precinct
part
two,
of it.
yes.
And
one.
And I think precinct 1 did it as well. So that's how we got those squared up last year. Like I said, if that's what these gentlemen want is a 5% raise, that's up to them as the court.
But
I don't have to vote on it,
5%
so.
outside of the bucket, so there's 5%, and when we do the 5% for the departments, we eliminate the elected official out of that dollar amount.
Yes, and that way it keeps the elected officials. And I know some of them did that last year because they were trying to get some of their employees up
Right.
to where they need to be. But once again, we're trying to figure out what the problem is with our elected officials and how our scale is like a mountaintop.
And that can easily be done within the spreadsheet. It's not an issue to lock that and then spread the rest. So we got a 5% bucket for all departments. We got a 5% for the elected officials is what you would like for me to budget based on, and I've got that.
And we'll have those numbers. I mean, and once again, I know this is a workshop, and we need to understand, once we do get that, and we've got the hard numbers from her, then you know exactly what it is. We'll know more. We'll get a secondary. We won't get we've got our first one. We'll get one after they do their protest, and then there'll be a final one from Ms. Shirley. So
And
there's a little gap in there that we'll know more what the money is.
because of the spreadsheet that I built, any one of them can come and get their numbers of what a 5% would be based from this year. I can print you what roll to this, I can print it, and then you'll see how it lines out in your budget for a 5%. And then you can see what it does when you eliminate. And then I know that we built it last year, and I know that Dana and Sharon had used it as well, is we also have tabs with your specific employees that has their specific rates and exactly how that would play out for them on an across-the-board fiber if you wanted to play with your money. You can just play with it right in there until you get to your net zero on the end, until you allocate it all.
So everybody good with that?
I'm good.
Jeff? Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion made to adjourn by Commissioner Mitchell. Second by Commissioner Parker. All those in favor? All those opposed?